Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so we got some really interesting notes from a listener about large language models, LLMs,
hmm
specifically asking, how old are they really?
Mm,
The notes suggested, maybe surprisingly, about 8 years old.
yeah, that 8-year figure is a decent starting point you pull from the notes.
Right.
But like you said, to really get that aha moment, that deeper understanding without getting totally swamped, we got to unpack a few key moments.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. 8 years feels both recent with all the hype, but maybe longer than some people think.
So the notes kick off with a 2017 paper, Attention is All You Need. Why was that such a big deal?
Ah, yes, that paper. Well, it introduced what I call the transformer architecture,
Yeah.
and the fascinating thing there, it just fundamentally changed how machines process language.
Oh, so.
Think of it like the model suddenly learned to focus, to pay attention to the most important words in a sentence, much like we do when we're listening or reading. It wasn't just processing word by word anymore.
Ah, okay. So it could understand context better. Exactly. It was a massive leap, a real landmark piece of research.
Got it. So 2017, that's the foundation, the architecture. But the notes also mention the term large language model popped up a bit later.
That's right, yeah. The architecture was there, the transformer, but the name large language model, or LLM, it really gained traction as researchers started building these, well, huge model.
Huge how, like size.
Size in terms of parameters. Think of parameters as like the connections where the learning happens. Suddenly we had models with billions of them.
Wow.
And these bigger models, they showed a really significant jump in actually understanding and, generating text that felt, well, human.
Which brings us to 2019 in the notes. OpenAI's GPT-2. That seemed like a key step.
Oh, definitely. GPT-2 was, well, it was kind of the moment many people outside of pure AI research really set up and took notice. At
Because,
least it was good. It could write paragraphs, stories, answer questions in a way that was coherent, sometimes creative, sometimes, frankly, a bit startling. It made the potential feel very real.
right, like a sneak peek of what was coming.
Exactly. A tangible demonstration.
And then, fast forward to 2022.
Hmm.
The notes just say, ChatGPT, disruptive.
That was the explosion, ChatGPT hitting the public. That was the absolute tipping point.
Everyone was suddenly using it, talking about it.
Totally. It took LLMs out of the lab and put them onto everyone's phone and computer. And it just kicked off this massive acceleration in development, funding, integration, especially, in things like search engines.
Yeah, you really saw search change almost overnight, which actually ties into another point from the listener's notes.
hmm
The suspicion that maybe big companies, like Google, for instance, were using this kind of tech internally way before 2022.
Hmm. That's a really sharp observation.
Seems plausible, right? For ads, refining search results, understanding user behavior.
Well, it's highly likely, I'd say. Companies with that much data and, crucially, the computing power, they were almost certainly experimenting with and probably deploying transformer-based models for internal tasks.
Before we, the public, really knew about it.
Probably. There's often that lag between internal R&D, maybe some quiet deployment, and a big public launch.
And the notes suggest a major reason for that lag could just be cost.
Oh, absolutely. The cost is, or at least was, astronomical. First, you need massive, massive amounts of computing power, specialized hardware, just to train one of these giant models.
Takes months, right?
On these
And tons of energy.
Exactly. And then, even once it's trained, running it so millions of people can use it simultaneously, what we call inference, that needs a huge amount of ongoing processing power and storage, too.
So the sheer expense probably dictated a slower, more cautious public rollout.
It almost certainly played a huge role, yeah. Balancing capability with cost and, frankly, figuring out the business model.
Okay, this is clarifying. So let's recap the timeline roughly. 2017, transformer architecture arrives, the technical breakthrough.
Yeah, the foundation.
Then maybe the term LLM starts getting used more as models scale up, like with GPT-2 around 2019, showing the potential.
Right, linking size to
Right.
capability.
And then 2022, ChatGPT bursts onto the scene, making it mainstream. So that core tech is about 8 years old now in 2025, give or take.
Exactly. About 8 years for the core ideas that power today's models.
But the widespread impact, the feeling that it's everywhere, that's
Mm.
really only been the last couple of years.
Precisely. You've nailed the key steps there.
Great deep dive. It really helps frame things. Thinking about those huge costs you mentioned and how things went from internal experiments to this massive public wave,
Mm.
it really makes you wonder what's next.
hmm
Are those costs going to plummet? Will these things become even more accessible, maybe running locally? What happens then?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Where does the balance of power, cost, and accessibility settle? Definitely food for thought.
It really is. Well, thanks for unpacking those notes with us.